राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना। यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी। राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी। जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना। यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी। जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। राधा माधवा कुंजा बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे। जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम। जय जगन्नाथ जय बलादेवा जय सुभद्रा। जय गौरनिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरनिता। निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। निताय गौर हरि बोल। जय प्रभु पदा जय प्रभु पदा जय प्रभु पदा जय प्रभु पदा। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। तय गो प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज काचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद् भक्ति वेदांत सांशुपोपाद की जय। एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज काचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नमाचार्य सरदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम मुकुंद राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मई यमुना मई की जय। तुलसी देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। गंगा मई यमुना मई की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories, all glories. Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga, Prabhupada ki jai. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidhanam Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachar Nirvisesha Sunnavad Pachat Destarne. Krishna. Thank you all for joining. Reading from Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme, verse number 14, 15, 16. Okay. नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टाप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति। Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme, verse number 14. Ananyacheta satatam yo mam smarati nityasaha तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः। अनन्यचेताः सततं यो मां स्मरति नित्यसः तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः। अनन्यचेताः सततं यो मां स्मरति नित्यसः तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः। Word to word synonyms. Ananya cheta, without deviation of the mind. Very important word. Satatam, always. Yeah, anyone who. Mam, me, Krishna. Smarati, remembers. Nityasaha, regularly. Tasya, to him. Aham, I am. Sulabha, very easy to achieve. Partha, O Sanaprata, Nitya, regularly. Yuktasya, engaged. Yoginaha, for the devotee. Translation by the Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain. O Sanaprata, because of his constant engagement in devotion service. Please repeat. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am very easy to obtain. I am easy to obtain. O Sanaprata, because of his constant engagement in devotion service. Verse number 15. मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयम् अशाश्वतम् नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः। मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयम् अशाश्वतम् नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयम् अशाश्वतम् नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः me upetya achieving punaha again janma birth dukkalayam place of miseries asasvatam temporary na never apnuvanti attain mahatmanaha the great souls some siddhim perfection paramam ultimate gata having achieved. Translation by Sri Prabhupada. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Please repeat. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Verse number 16. Abrahma bhavana loka punaravartino arjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Abrahma bhuvana up to the Brahma Loka planet. Loka, the planetary systems. Puna, again. Avartinaha, returning. Arjuna, O Arjuna, Mam, unto me. Upetya, arriving. Tu, but. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Puna Janma, rebirth. Na, never. Vidyate, takes place. Translation by Sri Prabhupada. From the highest planet in the material down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Let's repeat. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So that is the today's verse. Today's three verses. This is the next section. So we'll try to understand this verse. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Denataran Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Iswaram Vancha Kalpatarabhasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय प्रभुपाद की जय गौर भक्तों की जय. Thank you for joining. So, eighth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, attaining the Supreme. Seeing here, a very important chapter. So far, quickly we can recap. So in Bhagavad Gita, there are three levels of confidential knowledge. The first one, the introduction. The first chapter is introduction to the whole Bhagavad Gita. It gives the comparison of what is today happening in this material world in terms of the politics, duplicitous nature, cunning, enviousness, jealousy. All those are being described, and also one living entities doesn't want to do their prescribed duties, doesn't want to follow the rules and regulations, the dharma given, enunciated in the Shastra. These are the some of the things, many other things, but in conclusively, we can say that from Arjuna Vishada Yoga, in the beginning of characteristics of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana have been exemplified in that way, and then at the end, Arjuna is expressing uh, his inability to do perform the duty for various reasons. He is giving for not to fight, for not to perform his duty for various reasons. So it is giving a glimpse for the whole Bhagavad why the transcendental knowledge is important, why Bhagavad Gita is very important for that purpose. So that is introduction, first chapter. But it's very important. We must read starting from introduction of Bhagavad Gita. Every verse is very important. Then second and third chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called confidential knowledge because it explains. It is confidential because one who is not accepting Lord Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu as God, he cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. Especially chapter 2 and chapter 3 delineating, giving the great details of what is soul, what is body, what is different body and soul, and what is karma, what is akarma, what is nishkama karma, what is vikarma. All these details are being described. Even the bhakti is described. All the aspects of karma, jnana, bhakti, yoga, all these are described in the second chapter, especially. That's why it is contents of Gita summarized, chapter title. Third chapter is called Karma Yoga. So that's why second and third chapter, knowing the verse is not so much. That is for the student, for the children up to the age of 7, 8, 9, maybe 10. And they can decide, they can read the translation, which is fine. But beyond that, above ages, especially for adults above 20, they must understand actual what is application. That's a Bhagavad Gita gives practical application, Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. So the second and third is giving confidential knowledge. And then the seventh and eighth is more confidential knowledge because the nature of Krishna consciousness is actually explained only in the middle six chapters. So that Sambandha is given, the soul and the constitution position of the soul has been explained in the first six chapters, but more in great detail is explained in Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Sambandha means relationship of the living entity to the Supreme Lord, and then Abhideya is practice, and then attaining the goal. So that's the example we can see is any businessman engages in a business with another businessman, one who is a supplier, one who is a receiver. So engage in business with others. So they come and establish their relationship. They meet together. So that is first sambandha. And then they write an agreement and then they follow through. There's so one person is supplying, other person is taking and selling, distributing, and the result is profit. And then business is growing. So in this way, sambandha, videya, and prayojana. Same way, the man and woman coming together, meeting the male is meeting the female, the boy is meeting the girl, either through parents or directly nowadays in modern day world. So arranged marriage or whatever the way it is happening. So that is the sambandha relationship, and then gradually following through the process of union, then the prophet is begetting a child, and then it grows. So this is the sambandha and avideya and prayojana we see and go. The problem here is though we are being currently lost our original identity and our original relationship with God, with the Supreme Lord. So that's where the problem is. When the business person is meeting, if he revokes the agreement, especially when he ignores the agreement and does against the laws, what is been mentioned in the agreement, then it won't last long. The same way, in the relationship between male and female, boy and girl, if the agreement, whatever the marital relationship doesn't go well, doesn't go by the codes and conducts of it, then it doesn't go very well. It won't be fruitful. It won't be beneficial for both parties. So that is that same way the Supreme Lord, our original relationship with the Supreme Lord. Jiver Surupa Nitya Krishna Das. Krishna is again and again repeating. Mamai Vanso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. We are the eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We are Vibhinnamsya, separate part of the Supreme Lord. Aham Bija Pradapata. I am seed giving father. Krishna is explaining so many places. Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya. I am the seed giving father. So he's explaining in so many different ways that how the relationship is there. So that is the Sambandha Gnan. Then practicing. So the practice of the Krishna conscious activities is delineated, started describing in the seventh chapter. In the seventh chapter. In before six chapters, very minimal. It's not gone into great detail. So how the living entity is being conditioned in this material world by the three modes, and how is affected, and what is his original nature, what is the difference between material and spiritual energies, and what are the different categories of performing bhakti, how we can develop attachment and come back to his original nature, and what are the four kinds of people who approaches him with various desires, and four kinds of people who doesn't want to surrender, so was looking for desire with desires attached, developing relationship with Supreme Lord, and also someone who is not attached to results, but at the same time is not performing pure bhakti, wants to liberate, but not actually for developing love. So all these aspects are mentioned in seventh chapter. This is called Abhideya. Sambandha is also mentioned. Abhideya means practice, practical application. And then Prayojan. Prayojan means result, ultimate goal. That is being described also here. We see this is beginning in great detail. Ninth to 12th is it goes even further detail. That's why seventh and eighth is called more confidential, because the details of this application, relationship, what relationship we should have, we should develop, and then with the ultimate end goal, resulting in developing loving relationship, establishing loving relationship. So that's why Prabhupada explains that seventh chapter is the practitioner will have a very much Dudavata, firm determination of establishing his relationship with Krishna by taking the association of devotees and hearing from them. So that's why if you look at the seventh chapter, you see the titles. The first section itself, one must hear. Krishna is describing the pure devotion service of Maya Sakta Manapartha Yogam Vinjan Madashraya. By simply hearing, Tatsrunu, last line you will see, Maya Sakta Manapartha Yogam Vinjan Madashraya Asamsayam Samagramam Yata Gnasa Tatsrunu. You want to develop attachment to me, you must hear. So in the association of devotees. That is what Krishna is stressing. If at all, if you want to be follow through this relationship, eternal relationship, your original relationship, if you want to be eternally happy, then you must hear. You have no choice. You must hear. If you want to do your own thing, then you are in this. You are going to be in this material world. No one can help. So that Krishna is clearly distinguishing that, clearly giving the detail of how important it is to take the association of hearing. So then further Krishna explains in detail. If you look at the sections of seventh chapter, where Krishna is describing, one must hear. That is the first section, 1 to 3. Knowing Krishna, just hear, understanding the power and sweetness. Then Krishna is explaining the material and spiritual energies, because the living entity must understand how he is being conditioned, because he needs to know what is spiritual, what is material. So that's why Krishna explains those differences in the next sections, 4 to 12. And then 13 to 14, Krishna explains how Lord controls the three modes, mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. But Jiva becomes, living entity becomes conditioned by these three modes. That is being explained. How to come out of it is also explained in brief. And then 15 to 19, Krishna is explaining how Sakama Bhaktas, Pradhana Bhuta Bhakti, that means Bhakti is predominant, primary, but still he has desires. Four kinds of people surrender to him, uh, and four kinds of people who do not surrender. 15 to 19, that is the fourth section in the seventh chapter. Or the impious never surrender and pious surrender. And then 20 to 25, Krishna is explaining about demigod worship and impersonalism. So Krishna could have directly spoken bhakti, pure devotion service as in 12th chapter. But Krishna has to explain the actual what is bhakti means, and what is not bhakti. So because you could be saying I can worship any god, what is the problem? Everybody is God. No, there is God and there is demigod. There is different. That is different thing. God is only one. Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna is only God. Everybody else is demigods. They are they change. They are just designations given to qualified person. Anybody can become demigod. If they perform 100 lifetimes of pious credit, they can become Lord Brahma. So like that, there are qualifications given. So there is no except Lord Shiva, all others, Brahma, Indra, Varuna, Chandra, all these demigods change. Every Manu changes. In one day of Brahma, 14 Manus change. So each Manu changes. All the there's demigod, different people will come and take those posts. So they are not God. They are also dependent on Lord Vishnu, who's supplying everything, who's giving intelligence, who's giving, allowing them to uh, confirm the boons if somebody is worshipping. So that's why Krishna is explaining all these details. But one who doesn't have faith on Krishna, Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, he cannot understand. That's why it is confidential. Because you may have read 100 times Bhagavad Gita, so many versions. But if you haven't read from the actually those who is a devotee who has written translated Bhagavad Gita, then you can understand Bhagavad Gita, then you will be able to transform your heart. Until that point, you think anything and everything is same. I can do whatever I like. Until the sinful activity is curtailed, stopped, until you associate with devotees, until you start hearing, you can't give up your sinful activity. The tendency will not go. And then you cannot understand. Things will stay as confidential only. You cannot put in practice. Application will not happen. So that's why Krishna is stressing all these aspects in the seventh chapter. This is the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Until that point, Krishna is only talking about just ordinary duties on the basis of the prescribed duties. You have to do your duty, karma. But he's not going beyond actually. Just doing prescribed duty is not enough. You'll still be in this material world. You'll just incur pious credits. That's not going to help you. You're still coming back in this material world again and again. So that's why Krishna is stressing the middle six chapters, very confident, seventh and eighth, more confidential. And the ninth chapter is most confidential knowledge. So that's why it is called more confidential. As Krishna is describing about the process of bhakti in the seventh chapter of 1 to 3, knowing Krishna, 4 to 12, material and spiritual energies, 13 to 14, Lord Krishna controlling three modes, and 15 to 19 is four kinds of people surrender and four do not surrender. These are Mishra Bhaktas, bhakti with some desires. You cannot give up desires, you cannot become desireless. We have to transform material desires into spiritual desires. Initially, it's all right to have desires, but that will be transformed. That's why Krishna is going step by step until 12th chapter. 9th to 12th only is going to pure devotion. 8th is giving. The today's verse is talking about pure devotion first time in great detail. He has given glimpse in second chapter also, but he hasn't really third chapter also, but he hasn't really gone in great detail. And then the 20 to 25 demigod worship and impersonalism. So that also, so that we know what is the position of demigods. So that's why we have to read Bhagavad Gita, then you understand. They themselves feel offended. Actually, if you go to Ganesha, or Indra, or Chandra, Varuna, you worship, no, you are the God. Everybody else is subordinate, Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu. Then that is an offense. So that means you are putting the servant as a master and master as a servant. So no one will like you go to a company, your manager and your CEO comes, then you put your manager as a CEO and CEO as a manager. How will CEO feel? So that is an offense. Manager also will not like it. So we need to understand their positions. That's why Krishna is clearly distinguishing these details. Yeah. Once we know, then accordingly we should change our altar in our at home. Accordingly, we should put in the center Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, and others can be in the next level. And then you can offer the Mahaprasad of the Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna to the demigods. You don't need to remove. But we have to understand their position, their qualifications, accordingly worship them. Otherwise, anything and everything is not okay. And that is then the last section. Krishna is explaining about bewilderment and freedom by knowing Krishna. So, how by knowing Krishna, you will be able to come out of your bewilderment of desiring separately from the Lord and false ego, independent nature. Will give up independent nature and depend on the mercy of Lord Krishna. So then we'll be able to purify ourselves and come back to the original nature. In this way, Krishna is describing in the 7th chapter. Now, the 8th chapter, we'll quickly go through the section, then we'll come to the today's verse. 8th chapter is called Attaining the Supreme, where Krishna is describing in the 1 to 4. Krishna is answering to Arjuna's questions. So, at the end of 7th chapter, Arjuna is asking 8 questions. What is Brahman? What is fruitive activity? What are the demigods? What is Adi Yajna? What is Adi Daiva? Who is the origin of sacrifices? Lord Vishnu or Lord Indra? And how does one know living entity knows the Lord in the heart? How can he remember him at the time of death? So all these are the questions asked. So that's why first section is Lord Krishna answering Arjuna's questions, immediate answers. And 5 to 8 second section is remembering Krishna at the time of death. And then the third section is 9 to 13 is practice of remembrance of Krishna through meditation, Yoga Mishra Bhakti. That was the last week's class we discussed. And then at the end we saw that pratyahar is the main. Why Krishna didn't explain immediately after explaining in the second section of, let's go through section first. 1 to 4 Krishna's answers to Arjuna's questions. 5 to 8 remembering Krishna at the time of death. 9 to 13 is practice of remembrance through meditation, Yoga Mishra Bhakti. 14 to 16 is pure devotion service, today's section, remembrance of Krishna through bhakti. And 17 to 22 is comparison of material and spiritual worlds or glories of supreme abode. And then the last section is supremacy of pure devotion in attaining Krishna, or Pitrayana and Devayana. One who is worshipping forefather, he will go to forefather's planet, Pitri planet. Or one who is worshipping demigod, they will go to demigod planet. Or one who worshipping Supreme Lord, they will go to the Supreme Lord's planet, Vaikuntha Loka. So, in this way, Krishna is explaining how to attain the Supreme. If you want to attain, go to demigod planet and enjoy and come back to this material world again and again, then you can do so. But you are doing the same thing again and again. You are really not transforming. You are not becoming aloof from this tribulations of this material world. So you still have to go through the miseries. So in this way, Krishna is explaining in this 8th chapter, attaining the Supreme. So last section we discussed in the 7th chapter, Krishna has described Karma Mishra Bhakti and Gnana Mishra Bhakti. That means Bhakti is devotion. Krishna is in the center, but still living entities have desire, like Gajendra, Saunaka and other rishis, and Dhruva Maharaj worship the Lord, but initially they had desires, and then they became purified. So, which is fine, Sakama Bhaktas, that's right. Nishkam Bhakta and Sakama Bhaktas. So, the Karma Mishra Bhakti has been explained in 7th chapter, in the 16th verse, and 19th verse, Krishna is explaining Gnana Mishra Bhakta, those who doesn't desire any result, but they want to merge into Brahman effulgence, that is Gnana Mishra Bhakti. Then in the 9th to 13th last week verses in 8th chapter, Krishna is describing Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Which means living entities want to again merge into the Lord's body. Yogis, those who are meditating on Paramatma. Lord has 3 different forms, which is Brahman realization, Vadanti Tattva Veda Tattvam Yad Gnanam Advayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti Shabdayati. First one is Brahman realization, which is like sun rays, and Paramatma realization, which is like a sun globe, and then behind sun globe there is the sun god, the personality is there. Same way, Brahman, beyond Brahman there is Paramatma, which is situated in everybody's heart, even including in demigod, that is only in the material world. And then beyond that, actually there is supreme person, Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, residing in Vaikuntha. So he is the source of everything. So the sun and moon, everything, all the demigods is the source from whom everything is coming. So The so the now those who are engaged in this yoga Mishra Bhakti, why Krishna didn't go through directly to the pure devotion from 5 to 8, Krishna is describing how one can remember Krishna at the time of death, as we explained. Anta kale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayad samadbhavam yati nasti atra samsaya. By practice, by remembering him, we can attain. So, as Krishna, Arjuna is asking, what to do, what prayana kale at the time of death, how we can remember? By Anta kale cha mameva smaran mukta. You have to remember him at the time of death. And then further he is stating that if you remember him, then you go to him. But if you remember demigod, then you go to demigod planet. If you remember something else, your home or your dog or your whatever family member, then you have to come back to this material world. There is no choice. You are forced to come back again. Yam yam bhav is paran bhavam. What you remember, that's what you are going to get. You are forming the future life based on what activities you are performing. Accordingly, you are already making the future. So that's why we have to be very cautious what kind of activities we need to perform. Yam yam bhav is paran bhav. Then further Krishna is stating, now how will you practice? If you want to remember Krishna, what you have to do? Krishna is telling, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. Always. Tasmat means therefore, because you have to remember Krishna at the time of death so that you don't need to take up this temporary body. Because if you remember anything else, you have to come back. So that's why you must always tasma sarveshu kaleshu all the time. Mam anusmaridhaje. You cannot give up your work. You have to fight because that is my order. Because that's what I want you to do. So that's why you should do for me. Manusmaridhaje mayarpita manobuddhi and offer results to me. Offer results to me. That means you should do your work, but at the same time results also to me. And in this way, you must practice. First thing is you have to remember my instruction and follow. That means if Krishna is saying you must hear, then you have to hear. You cannot, no. I don't like hearing. It is not a question of if you want to perform bhakti, if you want to develop love for Krishna, Lord Vishnu, then you have no choice. Mechanically, you start hearing. I don't like reading. No, you have to start reading. So that is what love means. You have to start following it. You have to, then only there is love. Otherwise, there is no question of love. If there is agreement of between business, then you are already made agreement. Then you have to act on that agreement. So once you are married, you have to follow through like that. That is what Shastra injunction. So that's why it's very important. Krishna is making that point clear. If you want to attain me in this, as per in this chapter instruction, you must practice in this way. Initially mechanical, but later on it will become, you will develop love naturally, because that is the original nature of servant Jivar Swarupa Nityar Krishnadas. So that's why you will develop natural love initially, even though it may be mechanical, theoretical, but it will become realizations will come as you practice it. Because it is not of this material world, it is coming from the spiritual world. It is transcendental, it is not, and it is transformational. So that's why there is a difference. So, anyway, here Krishna is describing that in this way, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena Chetasa Nanya Gamina. Paramam Purusham Divyam Yati Parda Anuchintayan. In 5 to 8, 4 verses, Krishna is describing this practice, how one should, by constant practice, will be able to attain him. So, and now, in order to talk about, before Krishna describing, if you want to practice every day, so how you can practice every day? That before that, Lord Krishna has to speak about the pure devotion service. But then why did Krishna speak last section, Yoga Mishra Bhakti? Why did he have to speak about Yama, Niyama, Asana, Dharana, Pranayama, and Pratyahar, and Samadhi? Why did he ask to speak? You have to question. That's why when you read this, just simply don't do things without understanding. Krishna is describing, because this is for Bhakti Yogi also. It's very important, because unless you control your senses from sense objects, pratyahar, especially for yogi, it is very important. It is very difficult process. Those who are performing Ashtanga Yogi in the eighth canto, not eighth canto, so in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Kardam Muni, the great yogi, What a devotee though, Bhakti Yogi. Uh, he is being asked by Swayambhu Manu. Okay, he wants to get married, but he is Bhakti, he has some desires. Became pure devotee later on, but then because he is very sincere, so much devoted to Lord Vishnu appeared, Lord arranged. So that yes, I have already arranged. Swayambhu Manu will come personally and give his own daughter, Devahuti, and give it to you, and then you can marry her in that, and then Lord left. So then Kardam Muni, then Swayambhu Muni comes with his daughter, then gives marriage. Before that, then Kardam Muni is glorifying Swayambhu Manu and his daughter also. Is telling Devahuti is very religious, following father's duties and very chaste, and also is glorifying such that her beauty and then glorifying is her external qualities. There he was mentioning that that the yogis who are, it's very difficult to control the senses, even though great yogis. There is one great yogi, Viswavasu, who is a Gandharva, who is a higher demigod, who is a higher planets. He's not on earthly planet. His name is Viswavasu. He was going on an aeroplane and then seeing Devahuti on a palatial building. On top of the building, she's playing, and then he fell down. From there, he was going in a higher aeroplane. Gandharvas can fly, Siddhas can fly, not like our material aeroplanes today we are creating. Anytime danger can come, but those are not those airplanes. So they will follow their instructions. What they say, that's where they will go. So that is the beauty of these airplanes. And then he saw the beauty of the Devahuti, and then he got captivated, even though he was a great yogi. So Kardamuni is giving the example, glorifying, but their instruction is even though those who are great yogis, unless he can control this prana, pratyahar especially. Pratyahar means the senses and sense objects, that attachment has to be withdrawn. That means if you are driving your car, for example, this is regularly, and while watching computer, cell phone, this is regularly happening with all of us. You are driving your car, you are watching, you are seeing an ad, billboard of seeing a watch or seeing a car. If you don't have higher taste, minute you watch, if you are interested, inclined for watches, you are somehow or other attached to watch, then by seeing that ad few times, you'll bound to go and buy that watch. That's what will happen. Because senses and sense objects attachment is there. You are not acting on the pratyahar. Because we haven't developed Krishna consciousness, our original Krishna consciousness, we haven't developed higher taste. Senses are not in our control. Senses are bound to be agitated because we haven't developed higher taste. So that's why we have to engage in this process of Krishna consciousness, chanting, hearing, remembering, and engaging in physical service. Then only the mind is filled up with these Krishna conscious activities. The chitta, that's why it's called Ananya Cheta Satatam. Yomam Smarata Nitya Tasyam Sulava Partha Nitya Yuktasya Yogina. That's why Krishna is speaking. Before I can speak about pure devotion, I have to speak about pratyahar. If you don't know that how important it is to control your senses and sense objects, withdrawing senses from sense object attachment, how are you going to practice? How it will make it simple? Yes, for a simple person, bhakti is very simple. All you have to do is dance in front of the Lord for the pleasure of the Lord. All you have to do is only eat what is offered to Krishna. It is not so difficult. But it is very difficult because we are not being used to that. And chant the holy name of the Lord. Neither do we have that. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching. This is the condition of today's modern day world in Kali Yuga. Everybody is fallen from their position. As is mentioning, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Budo. कृपया तव पाद पंकज सितदूलि सदृशं विचिन्तया नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गद हृदया गिरा पुलकैर्निचितं वपु तव नाम ग्रहणेन भविष्य is telling that Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Budo. I am fallen down into this ocean of material resources, material things. So I am being attached to these material things. So please pick me up from this material ocean. Ainanda Tanuja Kinkram. Let me become a servant of this Nandanandan, Yashodanandan Krishna, I Nanda Tanuja. Kinkaram. Kinkaram means become servant of that Yashodanandan. Shyamsundar Krishna, not the Vasudeva Krishna, not one who is fighting with demons. No. He is talking about the Yashodanandan Krishna, Nandanandan Krishna, Shyamsundar Krishna from Davam. So, Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddho. Krupaya, by your mercy, because without Krishna's mercy, Krishna's grace, you can't understand Bhagavad Gita, you can't move a step in bhakti. So it's very difficult. By our own endeavor, however scholar we may be, that's why there are so many scholars written Bhagavad Gita, but they haven't understood. They themselves haven't become a devotee. One who is reading those Bhagavad Gita also, they cannot become a devotee. Because they themselves is not devotee, how will you? If somebody who's writing a medical book, he is not himself is not a doctor. If somebody who's practicing that book, how he is going to become a doctor? He cannot become. First, he himself has to practice, and then if he writes something based on his practice and experience, then others can follow and then become. But if he himself is not a devotee, by simply writing, by scholarship, how can somebody become a devotee? He cannot become. So that's why there is a transformation results of reading Bhagavad Gita as it is, whether it's Indian or Western, doesn't matter who's reading, because this is not based on the by this skin, by the place. It is based on the soul. So, based on the soul, what inclination he has, and from the hearing and reading from the pure devotee, automatically transformation happens. Anyway, so that's why pratyahar is mentioned. So that's why it's very important. As you watch the somebody who's attached to the watches, that's why we have to keep your life simple. That means don't be too much attached. Yes, you can have some, but naturally we have to have deep attachment for Krishna. Then other things will not so much will not agitate us. Same thing you watch some car, then immediately you will become those who are attracted towards cars. Then I want to buy it. So in the same way, so this is all going on on billboards. You see, become attached. The impressions are storing in the mind, subconscious. That's what will come in the dreams also. What we are getting in the dreams, the objects are real. Whoever we are seeing, whatever objects we are seeing, the objects are there, but the incident may not be real because the subconscious already the mind is filled up with these various things. What we are watching, what we are hearing, what we are attached to, those thoughts which are deeply meditating upon, those thoughts are the ones which are keep bringing when we are sleeping. Those thoughts will make some kind of incidents, and we will see those incidents. Then sometimes we become bewildered as we wake up. Oh, why did this happen to me in the dream? Because our conscious thoughts are happening on those objects. That's why those unwanted thoughts are coming, unwanted dreams are coming. And so that's why we have to be very careful. And that's why Krishna, before speaking this Ananya Bhakti, Kevala Bhakti, Aikantika Bhakti, pure devotion, one point attention to Lord Krishna, without mixture of karma, jnana, yoga, no other mixture. It's completely pure devotion, without any tinge of any material desires. That is what pure devotion. So that's why before that, what somebody has to do, what practitioner has to do, he has to control the senses to sense. He has to understand at least theoretically that he must try to follow some rigid practices, some consistent practices, day after day, week after week, of following some regulative methods to control the senses to sense objects. It won't be easy, but to the degree we are simple, to the degree it will. If we become like Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, that means we say something outside, but inside we have something else. That is duplicitous nature. That will never work in bhakti. We have to keep our heart simple. That means what we say outside and what we keep in the heart also should be the same. So that's why we have to be very careful. So that characteristic we have to change slowly and gradually. So that's why these characteristics are mentioned in the chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, introduction. What is not good for bhakti? So in the form of Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, that we have to gradually change. That's why we have to associate with devotees. It's a very easy process for those who are simple. That's why Krishna is making. Anyway, the pratyahar. So that's why be careful. If the senses are being agitated, don't even look at the billboard. The mind will tell you, no, 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 let's look at one time. So whether TV ads or cell phone ads, even while hearing classes, everywhere the ads are there. So that's why this sense agitation. But more than yoga process, more than any other process, bhakti will be able to control better than any other process. It's more difficult to follow through yoga in Kali Yuga, especially any kind of yoga, especially Ashtanga Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Vihanga Yoga. So many types of yoga they're coming up with, but none of them will be easy to control. So we are nothing in front of this Viswavasu, great Gandharva, or the Viswamitra, or the big, big yogis, Saubari Muni. They have done tapasya for many years to come. But still they fell down because these are all material. The perfection, whatever they achieve of Ashta Siddhi, which is Anima, Lagima, Ishta, Vasita, Kamya Vasita, Mahima, Prakamya. So that means you can create a planet, you can destroy a planet also. You can bring anything and everything. You can touch the moon. You can through sun rays. You can go to sun planet as you desire. You can go. These are the various perfections. After so long, so many years, so many lifetimes, one may come to that, but still that is material. You can't go beyond material world and enter into spiritual world. You cannot even cross over this material universe and go to the Brahma Jyoti, Brahman effulgence. Forget about going to spiritual world. You cannot go. So but this is still material. It's so difficult. That's in 12th chapter. Krishna is making that point of klesho adhikatarastesham. It is very difficult. So that's why, but bhakti becomes very easy. All you are doing is dovetailing, transferring those center point of attraction, Krishna. Right now, everything else is in the center. Means our various attachments, the money or the various things, whatever we are attached to, the that is all in the center. Krishna is not in the center. Lord Vishnu is not in the center. Everything else is in the center. So that's why all these various thoughts, the senses agitation is coming because Krishna is not in the center. So the whole process of purpose of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaking, is to make Arjuna keep Krishna in the center. That means he has to follow the instruction of Krishna. So that's why he is able to follow. At the end of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna exactly followed what Krishna said, even though it may seemingly wrong thing. But still he followed, and then he was successful. He was able to remember Krishna. So that's why we have to. That's why anyway. Going back to this verse, today's verse 14 to 16, pure devotion service. Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarata nitya tasyaham sulabha parda nitya yuktasya yogina. So Krishna is speaking of ananya cheta. That means with one point attention. Ananya means without any deviation. That means gradually one must come to this path of pure devotion. That means without any desires. Ananya Cheta. Cheta means Chitta, means heart. In this case, mind. Mind is the um, center point of all the senses, especially the eyes, the ears, the touch, the tongue. So these five Jnanendriyas, working sense. Jnanendriyas means knowledge acquiring senses. The eyes, the ears, the nose, the touch, so the skin, and the tongue. These are the five knowledge acquiring senses. So captivating us from the material. Aneka chitta vibranta mohajala samavrata. Aneka Chitra means so many different frames, like a movie. All these frames are already filled up in the mind. There is no space for Krishna. All material thoughts of this life and previous lives filled up in the mind, impressions. So those has to be cleaned up. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking. Cheto darpanam arjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam sriya kairava chandrika vitaranam vidya vadu jivanam anandam budivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamruta Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam. That means every day we have to cleanse this. We have to take bath in the transcendental knowledge. Sarvatma Snapanam. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Then you will actually develop taste for the chanting of the holy name. Until you, every day we do this consistently. You start with 5 or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, half an hour. Every day we have to do slowly, start somewhere. consistently, then you can increase. But minimum something we have to do. One round of chanting, one verse of Bhagavad Gita, one verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So like that, we have to chant somewhere, start somewhere, then gradually you have to move up. So increase the time, but to at least not reduce, not give up, but minimum practice, because that's why Krishna is telling abhyas. It's not that in seventh chapter only Krishna is speaking. Arjuna, Krishna has already made these points before. Go back to chapter 3, Karma Yoga. Krishna is speaking already there. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirasi nirmamo bhutva sanyasya vigata jvara. Krishna is speaking. And Prabhupada, if you read the commentary purport, you'll see that this is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. 3.30 is also one of the important verses in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is making within Karma Yoga itself. You have to surrender all your activities unto me. That means whatever results you are getting, you should start engaging me. That's why Rupa Goswami said, and that's why Sri Prabhupada said, 50% of your result should be offered to Krishna. 50%. That means at least whatever, after paying all these things, at least some things. That means start thinking about when you come to temple, okay, bring a fruit, bring a flower, bring something. It may be a dollar value, whatever the value. But start acting in that way. If we don't act, then already we are attached, the sense and sense object. More you bring that attachment to Krishna. I want to offer something. Like your father gives pocket money to kid, and then kid goes and buys something and offer to parent. What will parent will think? Parent will be very happy. Oh, instead of buying for himself, he brought something. Parent will be very happy. Or he got a first job, and then out of his first salary, instead of using it for himself, he buys something for their parents or grandparents. Then how they will feel? So this is the same way. It is Lord Krishna doesn't need anything. Everything is coming from him. Everything is his property only. But by offering him, then actually we are getting the mercy. Lord Krishna will be very pleased by our act of devotion. Even though we may not have pure devotion, but still something we are trying to do to please him. So that's why we have to start taking baby steps at least. So that's what when Krishna says Ananya Cheta Satatam, it must be done every day. Satatam means every day, every second, 24 by 7 we have to think. But that is the highest goal. We can't come to this path so easily to the pure devotion, but we have to start somewhere. Ananya Cheta Satatam Tasyaham Yomam Smarata Nityasa. Always, those who are remembering me always, continuously, every day, every minute, every second, Yomam Smarata Tasyaham Sulava Partha. For them, I am very easy to attain. That means opposite. Yes, unless we come to this pure, for those who are looking for fruitive enjoyment in this world, going to the heavenly planets or higher enjoyment, for them it is very difficult to attain Krishna in opposite way to understand. Unless we start practicing. Without practicing, you just come to temple, things are going to happen. No, nothing, not much is going to happen. You don't practically apply, start applying some practices what Krishna is instructing. So then, how the mind is going to change? It cannot change. It cannot change. You have to apply. You have to put in practice. Then only things can change. So then we can come to this pure devotion by gradual practices. In the third chapter later on, you will see on sixth chapter also Krishna is explaining this of practice. As Krishna Arjuna is telling, Chanchalam hi mana pravati balavadrudam. Very difficult to control this mind. Why am I engaged, forcibly engaged in this simple activity? Then Krishna is describing that. So yes, you can control. Only thing you have to do is abhyas. Abhyas, vairagya bhujite. By constant practice, and then naturally you will develop detachment from it. So in this way, Krishna is explained already, but not in great detail. Now, by Krishna is describing here with the process of bhakti, it becomes very easy to give up. By you might be attached to so many things, like at the time of marriage, you will receive so many gifts, watches and rings and chains and whatnot, jewelry, this and that, so many things. But more we become simpler, you know the value of it. What is the value of wearing all this? Doesn't make much difference whether you wear it or not wear it. So rather we become simpler and simpler because more you understand process of actual reality, what is temporary, what is reality, and how everything should be offered to Krishna, then you don't feel like what is use of it doesn't make much difference. More we become simpler, more we try to utilize for Krishna. Everything we utilize to Krishna. It's not going to be easy, but this is the way we have to look at things in reality. What is reality? What is temporary? So, what is illusion? What is eternal? What is not eternal? So, Ananya Chetas Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityasa Tasyaham Sulava Partha Nitya Yuktasya Yogina. So, where also Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is mentioning that this for sadhaka, for practitioners, Satatam means not necessarily every second, every minute in the sadhaka stage, every day one can remember. They can become a pure devotee gradually. So it's not necessarily every minute, every second. And also is mentioning that just like Rupa Goswami is mentioning in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, as Prabhupada mentioned, four books are very important for devotees to come to the path of pure devotion. Bhagavad Gita, first fundamental knowledge, who we are, who is Supreme Lord, what is our relationship, and then fundamental practices, at least basic level. And then next of instruction, what not to do. In 11 verses, a small book, it gives a detail how to control the senses. And nectar of devotion, nectar of instruction is this Upadesha Amrita, the second book Prabhupada recommends, and the nectar of devotion is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which gives actually great detail what actually devotion means, cultivation. Bhakti is defined as अनुकूल्यस्य भक्ति मीन्स अन्याभिलाषिता शून्यम ज्ञान कर्मादि अनावृतम अनुकूल्येन कृष्णानुशीलनम अनुकूल्य मीन्स फेवरेबल. That means whatever we try to do, it should be favorable to devotees and favorable to Krishna. So that's what we have. That's what actually anusilanam means, following the previous acharya, following. If Srila Prabhupada said something, by following that, that automatically it is pleasing to Krishna, because what is pleasing to pure devotee, then automatically Krishna is pleased. So that's how we know whether we are pleasing Krishna or not. If Prabhupada said something to be done, then if you do it, then automatically you are pleasing Prabhupada, then automatically you are pleasing Krishna. You don't need to find out whether I am pleasing Krishna or not. You will automatically please. That's why we have to hear what Prabhupada has to say in Prabhupada's books, what Prabhupada has to say in his lectures. Then you know what is what is going to be pleasing to Krishna, what is not going to be pleasing to Krishna. Anyway, there he is mentioning this is the Paribhasa Sutra of Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anya Abhilashita Sunyam Gnana Karmadhanavrutam Anukulyan Krishna Anusirnam. Anya Abhilashita. There it is mentioned there is without any other motive, any other desire other than pleasing Krishna. That is called pure devotion. It should be favorable. It cannot be unfavorable like Kamsa and Ravana. They are also thinking of Krishna but against. That is not actually pure bhakti. Pure bhakti means it has to be favorable, to please, to give something, to offer something to Krishna. That is what favorable means. And then it is also making another point. Anya Abhilashita. Ita. Ita means, where Acharya has explained, that when we are in danger, accidentally we may commit sinful activity. Accidentally we may ask for protection. Like Prahlad Maharaj and Ambarish Maharaj, they didn't ask for protection. When Durvas Muni released a demon from his hair to kill Ambarish Maharaj was not afraid, neither he asked for protection of the Lord. But pure devotee is not afraid of anything. So, but Lord, automatically knowing what's happening, then immediately protected. Same way, the same thing with Prahlad Maharaj. Even though he was put into so many things by Hiranyakasipu, he was not afraid. He was not praying. Same thing with Haridas Thakur. He was beaten 22 marketplaces. He was tested by so many people, but he was not agitated. He was not asking for protection from the Lord because he is a pure devotee. So he is automatically he is always taking shelter of Krishna by chanting his name, by remembering him. So he's always engaged in the service of Krishna. So for them, they are 24 by 7. They are always this Nitya Yuktasya Yogina. Yogina means also this word is used. Nitya Yuktasya means engagement. Engagement means either through chanting, either through physical service, either through hearing, you have to do something. Engagement means without connection with Krishna, where is engagement? If you are not connected with Krishna, Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna, there is no question of engagement. So that's why there must be a service, there must be hearing, there must be a reading, there must be chanting, because that is the process given by Lord Krishna again and again. That you must remember me by practice. That means you have to chant the holy name of the Lord. That's why Nitya Yuktas Yogina. So this Gita means even it may be in danger, we may, but Sadhaka, we are not at Prahlad Maharaj stage, we are not at Amrish Maharaj stage, neither we are at Draupadi stage. Draupadi is also Nitya Siddha. Draupadi, seemingly there is a pastime of disrobing and Lord Krishna giving the Vastra. But she is not a ordinary lady. She is also taking shelter, she is praying. But in any case, if we as sadhakas, we may not be at pure devotion. Yes, in a danger, we can ask for protection, we can pray to the Lord. So that is still considered a pure devotion. Or we may commit accidentally some sinful activity, but Krishna will forgive that accidental sinful activity. So that is still considered, but only in accidental. Unknowingly committing sinful activity, that is different thing. But we cannot repeat again and again the same sinful activity. So just like you ignite a fire and then you keep on pouring water, how the fire will ignite? It cannot ignite. Fire will stop. Same way as you perform bhakti, you keep on without stopping sinful activity, you keep on committing same sinful activity again and again. Even though you know already Krishna has said, don't eat which is not offered to me. So don't drink, don't eat non-vegetarian thing. Then you still want to eat. It's all right in the beginning, but later on, as we practice, you have to start chanting, you have to start reading, start hearing, because this is what the ultimate happiness is going to come. Temporary happiness will be there, flickering happiness, but what suffering, so much suffering we are going to get by not following the injunctions of Shastra. And we have to take again and again. Birth of may not be even human birth if we don't follow. So that's why we have to carefully study Bhagavad Gita and follow through. So that's why here Krishna is mentioning Yoman Smarati Nityasaha. By constant practice, by regular practice, we can come to this stage of 24 by 7. But it requires 20, 30 years of practice. And then further Krishna is giving, why should I perform this? What will be the result? That's why in the 15th verse Krishna is speaking here. What is it? Napnonti Mahatmana Samsiddham Paramangata. So we can attain one who is worshipping, one who is developing attachment to me in this way, Ananya Cheta Satatam. You will attain me without any, without any doubt. You will attain me, attain the Vaikuntha Loka. So that's what in Golok Vrindavan or the whatever planet, depending on his relationship to Rasa, whether it's Shantaras or Dasaras or Sakyaras or Vatsalaras or Madhuras, and whatever Rasa he has with which deity, whether it's Kurma, Varaha, Matsya, he will go to those Vaikuntha planets where these different planets are there of different deities. Or if somebody is attached to Lord Krishna, then he will attain Golok Vrindavan within the Vaikuntha, that is the topmost planet. If he is attached to Dwarka Krishna, then he will go to Dwarka. If he is attached to Mathura Krishna, he will go to Mathura. If he is attached to Lord Jagannath Puri, then he will go to the Jagannath Puri Dham in Vaikuntha. So different planets are there depending on our original Swarupa. Everything will be revealed as we go through this process naturally. Whatever Prabhupada has given in books of Bhagavad Gita and Nectar Devotion, there it is mentioned how to practice, what to avoid, what offenses to be avoided, what are the 64 items of execution or devotion service. But it's a gradual. First, we have to start Bhagavad Gita slowly, and then we can start looking at other books. But without understanding basics, if you try to read so many books, then you can't understand a thing. Then you just create more and more confusion, hundreds of questions you will have. Then you can't follow a single thing. Then it's not going to be so good. So that's why we have to simplify. We have to simplify our life and follow first Bhagavad Gita. One book, Bhagavad Gita. Krishna book you can read in the night before sleeping, which is a pastimes and stories, which is not a problem. But if you read too many books in the beginning without understanding the basic principle, it becomes very difficult. So that's why here in the verse number 16, 15 and 16, Krishna is making the point of that. 15 is making the point, the one who is worshipping me with pure devotion, then you will attain me into Goloka Vrindavan or the rest of the Vaikuntha planet. Mam upetyat kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. So, napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramamrita. And then the 16, Krishna is speaking that if he is not doing this, then he will go whether he's in Brahma planet or in the middle planet or in the lower planet, Abrahma Bona Loko Pana. Again and again, he will come to this material world, again take either human species or some other lower species. He has to take. No other choice. You will be forced to take. You will be forced to take. And so why to take a chance? Why not follow what Krishna is instructing? Why can't we? Why not to go to the spiritual world? Mm, so that's why we have to follow this process of Krishna's instructions in this verse number 15 and 16, as Krishna is making that very clearly. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also mentioning that Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Ataiva Shanta Bhukti Bhukti Siddhi Kami Sakali Asant. Nishkam means desireless, free of material desires. One who understands these three principles, especially as in fifth chapter Bhagavad Gita, the last verse. Supreme enjoyer is Krishna, Bhaktaram Ignatapasam, and he is the supreme. That means supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices. If you are trying to do yajna at your home, you must think that this must be for pleasing Krishna, Radha and Krishna. So whatever I offer, either three things must be done whenever you perform yajna at temple or at home. Charity must be given to the pujari, kirtan must be done, prasadam must be distributed. These three things must be done. This is what Shastra Bhagavad Gita itself, there's a verse, in the purport Prabhupada mentions, and Bhagavatam also is there. So these three things must be done because Krishna is the Bhoktaram, he is the actual beneficiary for all the sacrifices, beneficiary for all the austerities, beneficiary for all the charity. Austerity, charity, sacrifice, anything you do, it should be done for the pleasure of Krishna. If you are giving Bhagavad Gita to somebody for free, it should be done for Sarvan Sri Krishna Arpanamasthu. If you are giving some education to somebody, poor people, you think and you offer, Krishna, this is my offering to you. I'm just trying to help, but I want him to also develop attachment to you. And we pray for that person. That is the best thing. If somebody is sick, best thing you have to do is not to cry, not to become morose. No, that neither it is helping you nor you are helping them. You have to read Bhagavad Gita or you have to read Bhagavatam or you have to chant for them, you have to pray for them. Then you are helping yourself, you are helping them also. That is the best way to help. Other than giving the material necessities, whatever they need, prasadam, food, or whatever they need, medicines, that definitely you can give. There is no problem. That's what Krishna is telling. Kunti Maharani's case also, Krishna is telling. Arjuna's case also. Don't give up your family. Don't give up your duty. He's not telling to renounce. Only thing is change of consciousness. Center point you have to change. Kunti Maharani, all she is telling is that cut my skin disease of being and developing attachment to my sons, Yudhishthira Maharaj or Arjuna or Bhima, Nakula, Sahadev or Draupadi. They are on the relationship on the bodily platform. That only you cut. But otherwise, serving his devotees, Krishna's devotees, no problem. If you look anything in relation with Krishna, no problem. Whether it's anger, lamentation, or anything like Hanuman, he used anger in Krishna's service. No problem. Anything in service relation with Krishna, so then there is no problem. But only thing is we have to divert. So divert our everything center point to be Krishna. Our activities should be diverted to Krishna consciousness. Then it will be beneficial. So that's what it is mainly here. Ananya Cheta means always that's how we can think. Because if we give up family, if we give up our job, what are we going to do? Okay, already you give up. Then what is engagement? Without engagement, you can't do. Otherwise, you try to become a yogi or Babaji, then no use. Because your senses still will agitate us. We will again fall down from this in this material world only. So that's why very important instruction here. Don't give up your prescribed duties. But rather, that's why you will see in this Bhagavatam verse 119.7, it is clearly mentioned. To be free from material association means to cease completely from committing any further sins. Very important point. To be free from all material association means to cease completely from committing any further sins. To meditate upon the lotus feet of the Lord means to become free from the effects of all previous sins. One is to stop sinful activities. Another thing is we have to engage in positive engagement, which is think of the Lord or chant the holy name of the Lord, remember the Lord. Then what will happen? The whatever thoughts you stopped, but still the lingering inside the heart, previous activities, the thoughts, impressions are still there. In order to wipe those things out, you have to engage in positive, do the positive engagement. So that's why this point is being made. To meditate upon the lotus feet of the Lord means to become free from the effects of all previous sins. The conditions of the material world are so made that one has to commit sins willingly or unwillingly. And the best example is Parikshit Maharaj himself, who was a recognized sinless pious king, but he also has become victim of an offense. Even though he was ever unwilling to commit such a mistake, he was cursed also. But because he was a great devotee of the Lord, even such reverses of life becomes favorite. So that as I mentioned, unknowingly or somehow or other, he was a great devotee. Whole life he practiced in that way. Is as a king, as a family, everything he didn't renounce until the last. Because he has done that practice, even though he has committed a blunder, he has did offense, but Lord Krishna gave forgive because he didn't look at that fault because he has practiced with very much sincere and complete full devotion. So that's why he became extraordinary devotee. Parikshit Maharaj went back to Godhead by simply hearing 7 days. Uh, he fasted until death, and then he simply heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami. Lord arranged everything. And so that's why when you practice in this way, Lord will make all the arrangements. He will look after. Because we are thinking he is the supreme enjoyer. We are thinking he is the supreme proprietor, maintainer, controller. And then we are also thinking he is the supreme friend. That means you will ask everything to Krishna. You will ask Prabhupada in front of Prabhupada, I have this problem. How can I solve? Please guide me. Then either you will guide him in your dream or either guide through the devotees, either you will guide through lectures, some or the other you will get to know how to do, how to resolve that situation. But if you don't even submit to the Lord, you think that somebody else is your friend. No, there is no better friend than the pure devotee of the Lord and the Supreme Lord. You have to submit. Whatever problems you have, you can pray in your own language, in your own thoughts. Then Lord will guide how to resolve those situations, whatever problems you may have. So that is what actually bhakti means: offering our thoughts, deeds, mind, our resources, our body, everything in the service of the Lord. So before conclusion, so yeah, that is what 15th verse we see that what happens to the person who attained you. Result, they do not attain the birth again, which is full of suffering and temporary, but attain a birth similar to mine, which is full of joy because it is eternal. Paramam Samsiddhim, very highest perfection, Mahatma Namaha, because noble minded and generous person. This means that they concentrate only on me. Ocean of knowledge and bliss, very inclined to give mercy to devotees, and totally dependent on my devotees. Ananya Cheta, devotee superior to Sanishta and Parinishtata. Very difficult to attain Krishna for those who are doing Mr. Bhakti. Yeah, Swanishtita means they have some material desires. Like you perform bhakti, but still they want to attain something. Like Dhruv Maharaj was looking, I want a greater kingdom than even my father, forefather, grandfather. Then Lord created the Dhruva planet, pole star. And then he's going to go back in next life of Brahma. After Brahma's life is over, he will go back to Vaikuntha. But his desire was there, that is material desire. But he performed bhakti. So Lord fulfill that desire, he is going to become also become pure devotee, which is all right. So that's what here it means. He cannot. It is not easy, going to be easy to come to the pure devotee, especially Sanishtita. That means he cannot go to attain Krishna Prema, he cannot go to Golok Vrindavan, especially. He may attain this Pradhana Bhuta Bhakti or Swanishtita Bhakti, means those who are with desire, Sakama Bhaktas, they can attain the Vaikuntha lokas with Santaras or Dasiras or so. But they cannot come to that highest level entering into Golok Vrindavan. It's not going to be easy. So that's what to Mishra Bhakti. That's we have to come to that pure devotion if you want the highest. So that's what is been explained here. In the 16, all jivas take birth, even if they are a great pious credits. But my devotees do not take such rebirth. Even the inhabitants of planet birth, of Lord Brahma take rebirth in this material world. So that's what 15 and 16 is describing. What will be the result of those who are performing this pure devotion, and what will be the result of those who are not performing pure devotion. So before ending it, I want to read from glories of the Golok Vrindavan. Then you understand this. Where it is also said, when will Krishna and Balram holding hands, laughing and joking, heart tremble with love? It is also said, someday will the music of Krishna's flute, music that makes the trees shoots, makes the hills melt, makes the water become solid, and makes the rivers flow backwards, enter my ears as I meditate and make me tremble with love. I have no power to describe the happiness persons who meditate on Lord Krishna feel in their heart. When Krishna enters the heart to enjoy pastimes there, that heart blossoms with joy. About that joy, there can be neither questions nor descriptions. No one should ask about it. No one has the power to describe it. Lord Krishna attracts the hearts of the pious. Anyone who meditates on Lord Krishna's birth is protecting the cows, is singing charming songs with gopas, and his other pastimes will find himself overcome with bliss and love. How can one hold back a heart that yearns to see Vraja? Its palatial trees anointed with dust raised by the cows, dust fragrant like camphor. Its days filled with young cows, and its evening filled with Suravi cows that defeat the sweetest fragrance. The pasture lands of Raja give to everyone, every heart, hundreds of memories. At sunrise and sunset, pulling back the cows, milking the cows, collecting the milk, taking the cows into the barns, meeting with Krishna, singing songs of Krishna's pastimes, and shedding tears of love. The cowherd boys, the hairs of their bodies erect, fill my heart with bliss. Always filled with chanting of Lord Krishna's glories of Goloka, attract my heart. Rama, Krishna, Krishna, Rama, Krishna, 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 here and there on the pathways of Goloka, one may hear the people chanting these names as they come and go. These are all the descriptions of Golok Vrindavan. The, the poets are shy to describe some petals of the Goloka lotus, the garden petals where the beautiful gopis who bring Krishna such pleasure reside. Those petals are very wonderful and glorious and very difficult to know. It is said in some places are delightful forest gardens, in other places are hundreds of wonderful palaces, delightful like gardens. In other places are bodies of water filled with lotus flowers. How can anyone know of all the beautiful places here? The beautiful eyed goddess of Raja forest sing songs describing a girl's first beginnings of sweet and passionate love for Lord Krishna, love that overcomes her again and again. Who hearing these songs has the power to understand the bliss and despair they describe. In some places are exquisite songs, in other places are singing, dancing, and instrumental music. In other places are passionate declarations of love. In other places are lovers' quarrels. Again and again, meditate on the pastimes of the gopis, pastimes of love. Pastimes of love are manifest. Lovers' quarrels are manifest. Being stunned and other symptoms of ecstatic love wander among the gopis. The gopis enjoy the pastimes that jump over the rules of Vedas, shaking to pieces the path of the speculative philosophers. The divine couple's pastimes shine with great splendor. At every moment, Krishna longs to be with the gopis, and at every moment, the gopis long to be with Krishna. When they meet, great pleasure is gloriously manifest. Their longings are sincere and very passionate. To what may I compare with them? So, in this way, you can see that so much details are being given about how the Golok Vrindavan, what activities. So everything is there. Whatever you see, there are roads, there are chariots, there are animals, there are birds, there are rivers, oceans. Everything is there in Golok Vrindavan. Whatever you see here, but everything has a conscious. Anything and everything you can get from any of those personalities. Or these even the mountains, the trees, the birds. You can ask them and you can get because everything is Chintamani there. That is the spiritual world. But here it's not so. You can't get apple from a mango tree. But in spiritual world you can get anything like that. So that is the beauty of the spiritual world. But we are thinking we are getting the actual real enjoyment here in this material world by some drinking some coffee or Coca-Cola. But that's not so. So that understanding will not come in a day. It takes practice, a lot of practice it requires. Then we understand what we are getting. Actually, we are inviting suffering. That's what we are inviting the future life of materialistic life again. So that's what we are inviting by not following Lord Krishna's instruction in Bhagavad Gita. So it is up to us. Choice is us. Choice is ours. Whether we want to make our future bright or we want to make our future bleak. Uh, Back to our previous lifestyles. So that is conscious choice is ours. So that's what Krishna is instructing in this today's section of remembering Krishna, practice of remembering Krishna through pure devotion. Mm. From devotion mixed with desires, gradually we can come to this highest level of pure devotion. It is possible, it is not impossible. It seems like impossible task because we are not in that mode, we are of the material mode, so that's why it looks impossible. But more you simplify things in your life and more you start acting, following instruction, Lord will make 100 steps towards you. Then He will give the energy and strength and arrange everything in life. So, to the degree we want to really follow and cry. The gopis are crying. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching by his own example, crying. One must cry. More we cry to the Lord that relieve me from these pains and sufferings of this material ocean and give me guidance, give me intelligence, give me strength. So how to do, what to do. Then Lord will do miracles in our life. Until that point, nothing is going to happen. So, so that's why sincere prayers, sincere submission at the lotus feet of pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada can make those arrangements. Because anytime pure devotee is thinking of devotee, then automatically Lord has no choice but to grant. So grant those wishes accordingly. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Gandhara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Lord Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Let's see if anyone has questions. I unmuted. Anyone has questions?
Yes, Prabhuji, I have one question. Hare Krishna.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mataji.
Prabhuji, I know it is late. Just one quick thing.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
There are like the world population is around I think close to 8 billion, right?
Yes.
And I belong to India, so India is around I think 1.34 billion. And so far in India, I know there is like more they're more towards demigods, right?
Yes.
So there are many people like let's say 500 million people. They are like 100% devoted, like the pure devotees for demigods, and they never came across let's say the Krishna consciousness. So those people you are saying that they will with their pure service they will go back to those planets, right? but
Correct.
but they never came across this consciousness. So what is their fault? They are doing their 100%, right? They're giving their 100%.
Yeah.
So
So ignorance is bliss. So that's what people think. But as Krishna is clearly mentioning, see, if one has a sincere desire, see, we may not know, but I want a real, genuine, pure thing, the highest thing. If somebody is really looking in that way, even if they are worshipping demigods, then they will send. They will send to the right path. We know many. So I myself dealt with many devotees who are worshippers of demigods. but they have been sent to Lord Krishna. So, because they themselves were, even though they are worshipping demigod, they are thinking how to, what is the real thing, highest thing they want. They are praying to the demigods also in that way. Then Paramatma is there in their demigods also. They are also guiding. They are diverting them to the right path. So
Okay,
that
so
is that will be beauty. As Krishna himself is mentioning. Yanti devavratan devan pitru yanti pitruvatan bhutan yanti bhute yanti madhyajinogma. One who is worshipping demigod, if is somebody is worshipping Indra, you will go to Indra's planet. Somebody is worshipping Chandra, you will go to Moon planet. Somebody is worshipping Sun God, you will go to Sun planet. So because that's what, let's say you studying for 10th class, are you going to become a pass the intermediate or degree? No, you will pass only 10th degree. So if you are worshipping particular demigod, how can you go to Vaikuntha? You cannot go. What you are doing is what, that's the same result you are going to get, nothing more than that. So it is a simple,
so
it is nothing complex here.
so you
You
are
can,
saying that those are the stages, right? Means let's say even someone is doing for demigod eventually, like the example you gave that you are doing everything for manager, but you are not aware of who is your CEO. But eventually you will come across your CEO if you are doing good work, kind of.
yeah, if you are really you are genuine, you are looking. Most of the time they will be caught up in. I want to worship demigod for what for? I want to get good job or promotion or some health problem or some this, some that. Not really. If they worshipping demigod for really, they want something highest. Why am I suffering? Please, some other show me the path how I can go liberate from this world. Go to the reality. Highest thing. I don't know where I need to go, but somehow I am suffering. Please show me the right path. Then they will send. But if they are asking for, keep on asking for material benediction, then they will keep on taking different lives and they will keep on blessing them with those benedictions only. They can't move much. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay. So we are kind of, we should consider ourselves blessed that we are at least came into congregation. I don't know
Yes.
how much we do, but yeah, it's a
Yes.
big responsibility kind of that we should
Yeah.
do whatever the best possible thing we can.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. In
Right.
the in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is in Antilila beginning first chapter of Sivananda Sen, a great devotee of Lord Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He allows a one dog is a street dog following them, and then Sivananda Sen allows very compassionately the dog to sit on the boat, come on the boat along with them, and then they come to Jagannath Puri. And then by the mercy of him, devotee, then they feed prasadam and all. Then it attains, it goes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, Lord Krishna himself is feeding coconut pulp, and he himself asked him to chant, and then dog is chanting. Then next day it went back to Godhead. There Prabhupada writes in the purport, if 1% of 1% of the population becomes devotees, pure devotees, then they can make the whole world unknowingly. The people doesn't need to know. Unknowingly, if they simply follow this 1% of the population become pure devotees by simply being in their association, tasting the prasadam, standing by their simply by their association, then they are everybody can go back to God. Prabhupada writes in the purport. I'll pull up that in Anjalila, chapter 1, Anjalila, I think verse number 54 or 64, somewhere around that, especially when this point of Sivananda saying dog became liberated, went back to Godhead. So if a dog can go back to Godhead, what to talk about human being who is really anchoring for real, genuine path, genuine love for Krishna, that means automatically you are loving everybody. You are not discriminating anyone, whether Hindu or Christian. Soul has nothing to do with whether Hindu or Indian or Christian or this or that, demigod worshipper, doesn't matter. We're not to the point to understand the path of perfection. We are talking all this about the demigod, who is Krishna, who is Lord Vishnu, what is spiritual world, what is material world, because everything you have to clearly understand, distinguish. Otherwise, we will be here only in this material world. If there is, you have to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong. In that sense, we are talking. Otherwise, we don't discriminate. You will see in conversations from Prabhupada in Surat in different places. There was deities of demigods, even in our temple, Radha Krishna temples, also in Vrindavan and other places. Lord Shiva is there, Kshetrapal is a great devotee of Lord Balram, Lord Sankarshan Ram, Lord Ramachandra. He's always protecting all the holy places everywhere you will see. He is the Kshetrapal. In Vrindavan also is Asutosh, no, what is the, I forget, Mahadev's name.
Rishikesh. Rishikesh.
No, there,
Rishikesh.
no, in Vrindavan there is a temple. I forget, not Asutosh. I forget the name of Lord Shiva. There, Kshetrapal is protecting the Dham, holy Dham. So there are so many pastimes. Lord Shiva is also there. Those who really want Krishna, then he'll protect. Those who really don't want, they are trying to externally they are showing some devotion, but internally they are not really. They want to cheat. Then you will make sure that they will not really understand Krishna. So that is job of Durga Devi and Lord Shiva, protecting the Dham from the genuine real devotion versus or faking it. So and then they will see all the dirtiness in the Dham. They will not see devotion. They will not develop love because that's what with their heart, with their mentality, finding faults of the people. That's what they are coming with, and that's what the Lord Shiva's and Durga Devi's job is to protect those who doesn't want the real path. Then that's what they will guide. So, but the demigods are there guiding all the time if they really want. Especially Lord Shiva's position is different from the other demigods, though. Lord Shiva's position is almost same as Lord Vishnu, but remaining all are in the Jiva Tattva. Lord Shiva is not the Jiva Tattva. Lord Brahma, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, they are not, they are all Jivas, but Lord Shiva is not of Jiva Tattva. Shiva Tattva is different in between. Is not neither Lord Vishnu is not Jiva either. Is almost close to Lord Vishnu. He's not Lord Vishnu, but is almost close to Lord Vishnu. That is the unique position of Lord Shiva. And he's always
Right.
worshipping Lord Sankarshan Ram. That's why he's called Shankar Bhagwan. And we
Mm.
do so many pastimes. He's always hankering for Lord Narayan's Mahaprasad. So he's always in the. He's also became Gopi. So he also became a Gopi. He wants to be in the Rasa dance with Krishna. So many pastimes are there. Lord
Mhm.
also wants to glorify him. So in Samudra Manthan, he has given poison to drink. He's carrying the Ganga on his head. So all these pastimes are there because Lord also wants to glorify his pure devotees. Lord Shiva is also one of the Mahajan, so great devotee of the Lord. So in that way, we have to understand the position. But who really wants to worshiping Lord Shiva? The idea that he really wants to follow the real path, highest perfection, not for any boons, not for any material desires. Then Lord Shiva will show. That's why there is a Rudra Sampradaya where Lord Shiva is teaching how to worship Bal Gopal, Lord Krishna. So there are four bona fides. One of the Sampradayas coming from Lord Shiva is teaching how to worship Lord Krishna. So, but
Mhm.
most of them doesn't want it. So then for them he's not giving that path. He's giving the path of Shankaracharya. Those who wants to be in the impersonal aspect, then Lord Shiva is coming as his Amsa as Shankaracharya. Then Shankaracharya bewilders people that anything and everything is same. That means you can worship demigod, you'll attain the same. No, it's not same because he has a different thing to set up when he came because Buddha has come and nullified all the Vedas. There is no Vedas. There is no worship. You just worship me, follow me. So nirvisesha. There is nothing beyond this. And when you give up this body, everything is finished. Nirvisesha, sunyavad, zero. There is nothing beyond. So, but you worship me. But then the Vedas has to be again established. So that's why Shankaracharya has to come to establish that principle. But he didn't establish the higher principles. So he has one level further after Buddha has established. Then after Shankaracharya, then all these great Vaishnava Acharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu
Mhm.
Swami, all of them established the actual principles of devotion to Lord Vishnu and Lord Krishna. Because there is a systematic study from ABC, 10th grade, intermediate, engineering, you have to come You cannot directly jump to the highest level because there is a systematic, progress.
Right.
That's why that philosophy is established in that systematically one after another. So those who cannot
But
understand, then it's difficult.
But Prabhuji, just now you gave example of that dog, right? He went to Jagannath Puri.
Yes.
So, how they get mercy so quickly by just chanting, and people like us even do minimum 16 means it is very difficult. I have seen devotees like they are giving their 100%, but still they say that we are nowhere.
The
Then
mercy.
what is the
That's
difference?
why one who is crying for mercy, then they will get. So for especially human beings, but for all other species of life, for them it's a gradual evolution. By somehow or the other, by mercy of the Lord, they will get the mercy of his devotees, then they may get liberated. That's the secondary thing. But as human beings, we really, by mercy of pure devotees, but we shouldn't be asked, okay, when Lord will, so just like Dhritarashtra was also thought like that. When Lord shows mercy, then I'll be able to do this, what you are instructing me to do. Give up Duryodhan or follow my instruction, give 5 villages. He didn't follow. See what Krishna is instructing directly is there in front, and he's instructing. He didn't follow. He said, when Krishna desires, then I'll be able to do. Right now, what you are saying is correct, but I can't do it now because the mentality, simple mentality, association of Duryodhana, association of Shakuni, simple mentality is there. Simple association is there. So that's why he cannot give up the tendency not to follow.
Hmm.
So that means you are an offender. To even though Lord Krishna is directly, personally present and instructing, still you can't follow because full of sinful activities. Then nothing much you can do. Only by the mercy of Vidura. Then Vidura became so merciful and came back all the way after the Kurukshetra war, came back and chastised him like anything, and then he pulled him out. Mm, from the Hastinapur, and then he took him to forest. Then finally he got liberated. But otherwise, he has no hope. That's why only pure devotees mercy. We have hope. That's why we have to more than our sadhana. Sadhana we must do, but we have to depend on the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Depend on the mercy of the pure devotees. Then our progress can be steadfast. That means if devotee says something, then ABC, then we should try to do that ABC. So especially from Srila Prabhupada or his disciples, spiritual masters. If they say something, we should try to follow. Then more we follow, then that's where the progress is there because Krishna is watching what we want to do, really want to do or not want to do. So one is
Hmm.
with theoretically saying something, but the heart is doing something else. Then that's where our progress is checked.
Right.
For everybody else, it will
And
take many millions of lifetimes. Yeah, even they might be worshipping demigod, they might be doing whatever philosophy they want to do. It's fine, there is nothing wrong. They can follow whatever they want. It will take many millions of lifetimes. That's all it is. For devotees, at least, it may take a few lifetimes. If they want to follow very seriously, then within one lifetime they can go back to Vaikuntha. If they are not so serious, then it may take at least 2, 3 lifetimes or more. If they are not very careless, then it may take hundreds of lifetimes, even though they might be practicing bhakti. So it is up to us the inclination, what seriousness, how much seriousness we have, how much determined we are. Then to that degree, result will be different. Mm. Even though we might be disciple of Srila Prabhupada, that doesn't mean everybody is going back. So because if you're not following, then you are not a real disciple. So that's where everything. You know Bhagavad Gita, you have Bhagavad Gita at home, but you don't want to follow Srila Prabhupada, then what is the use? And
hmm.
that means you didn't understand what Srila Prabhupada is instructing, what Krishna is instructing in Bhagavad Gita, because you have to follow pure devotee. So pure devotee saying something, then you have to follow. That's what Bhagavad Gita is teaching, right? So that's why
Yes.
Pandavas are always, even though Krishna, they are very great devotees of Krishna, but then why did they follow Dhaumya? Why did they serve Narada Muni? Why did they serve all the devotees? Even though while they are in the forest, there is nothing much available, but still they try to serve whoever all the devotees came. Always they are serving from the beginning of their life till the end of the life. So that's why Krishna personally came with all his entourage, all queens and everything to Hastinapur and stayed for a few months. How much they worshipped. You will see if you read the Krishna book. Yudhishthira Maharaj and Pandavas, how much tears flowing down from their eyes, seeing Krishna and the queens, and they tried to worship and offer with so much love and dedication. This is what they are simple at heart. That's why it is possible. For the people who are complicated their lives with so many things, filled up with so many things, then it becomes very difficult to do bhakti because we are not simple enough. So
Yeah.
that's what it is. More we become simple, bhakti will become very simple. So not complicated at all.
So, Prabhuji, that is the most difficult line, what you said. More we get simpler. It is not simple.
Means it doesn't mean that you stay on the road and you don't have much clothes and no.
No, no, not like that. Yeah, of course,
See,
I
you can
understand.
have the job, you can have family, you can have house, car. Simplicity is inside your heart. So that is first inward journey is simplicity. What you are after, that is simplicity. If you are after external things rather than the internal things, then that is not simplicity. So that's what we have to look. When I say simplicity, is towards the inward journey. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. It's another beautiful lecture. Lot of details, but yeah,
Any
thank
other
you.
questions? Anybody else?
Yeah, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, my obeisances to you. That was very,
Exactly.
very enlightening. And thank you, Prabhuji. All my obeisances to you. Prabhuji, I had a question
Go
which
ahead.
doesn't, well, sort of doesn't relate to chapter 8, but
No, it's fine.
relates
You
to
can
the
ask.
early Bhagavad Gita.
No problem. You can ask. Go ahead.
Yes, yes. Prabhuji, I was listening to one of Prabhupada's lectures, Srila Prabhupada's lectures recently, where he mentioned the soul has a form.
Yes.
Just like, Krishna is Sachidanand
Right.
Vigraha, the same thing, the soul has a form. So what kind of form is it, Prabhuji? That he didn't clarify that, or I didn't understand that. So do you know, Prabhuji, what is our original form?
So
The soul?
the,
Yeah,
yeah.
the Atma.
Yes. So it is just like the example I will give. Means I'm
Mhm.
also not at that level where I have seen my original form. That's why I'm here. It's okay. But I can tell you, Miss I,
Yes.
for me
Uh-huh.
there is no
Uh-huh.
ambiguity. When Prabhupada said the soul has a form, because
Yes, yes,
you are wearing this dress, the shirt and pant.
yes,
Your
yes.
shirt and pant also has a form because you are going to a tailor and tailor is stitching because it has hands, it has legs, he is taking the measurements and he is stitching
Mhm.
because it's after the body. You have the body according to your body is taking the measurement. Same way,
Mhm.
the soul
Mhm.
has exactly the same what we are seeing. Right now, the body is made of gross material elements.
Mhm.
But when we purify ourselves, when the iron is in touch with fire, it becomes red hot fire. It as good as fire. That means no impurities. Then the gross body will be wiped out, removed, and
Mhm.
then attain spiritual body. That means the eyes, the legs, the hands, everything, whatever you see now, it is there. But it is no
Mhm.
more gross body. It is no more gross body. It is spiritual body. So
Mhm.
it's Ananda Vigraha, our original position, but right now we are covered with gross body, we are covered with subtle body. When we
Right.
attain to the pure devotion, then that time we will not have any gross body, will not have subtle body. Rather, we have spiritual body. Everything else
Spiritual.
spiritual. There is no tinge of anything material at that point of time. That means we have to cut this gross body, gross form, cut the subtle form, then we have to attain the spiritual form. So that means the practice. We have to make
Mhm.
the practice and attain that perfection. Then just like the iron, initially
Right.
iron is iron, like what you see, the iron whole bar you'll see. But the more you put into fire, then can you see the iron? No, you can't see the iron. You'll only see
Mhm.
the red hot. It's almost like a fire. You'll not
Mhm.
see the iron anymore. Same way, this material body, it appears like a material body, like Prabhupada is a pure devotee. You don't see the difference. Even when you see Lord Krishna also, you'll not see the difference because we are made after him. But that doesn't mean he has a material form. See, he has a spiritual form. So he has spiritual eyes, he has spiritual hands, spiritual legs, spiritual mind. Everything is spiritual. Nothing, there is nothing material.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So is it right to sort
That
of
means,
assume
and
that?
also want to clarify, that means don't think that only there is male and female.
No.
That doesn't mean that only male. No, there is a male, there is a female, there is a tree, there is a bird, there is a river, there is an ocean. Everything what you see in this material world is there in the spiritual world.
Yeah.
But it's only a
Yes.
perverted reflection in this material world. But in spiritual, everything is there with a full consciousness. That means
Yes.
you can get anything. It doesn't like it is not like here. The
Yes.
rivers cannot
It's
talk, ocean
absolute.
cannot talk.
Yes.
But there you will see the in Krishna book, the river personified. What does that mean? A river has a
Mhm.
personality? Oh, I never knew. So, but when you read, you'll know because we haven't seen. That doesn't mean there is no form. River has a form, sun has a form, because there is a personality behind. So that's where river personified means there is a personality. Ocean personified means there is a devata, there is a demigod who is in charge of the ocean. Sun god means there is a personality behind the sun planet. Moon god means
Right.
there is a personality behind moon. So like that in the spiritual world, everything has a conscious. Bird can speak, ocean can speak, a tree can speak. So it is like that. But we haven't had that conception. We haven't seen that in the material. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean it is not there.
Mhm. So, Prabhuji, is it sort of just mentally to sort of based on what you explained that we will find out our original form when we make it there to either Vaikuntha
Correct.
Dham or Krishna Goloka Vrindavan, or
Correct.
is that the
Correct.
way it is?
Yes.
Or
Yes. It will be
okay, okay.
revealed. That is
It
called.
will be revealed to us.
It
Yes.
will be
Okay.
revealed. Yes. Right now we are in Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhasanga Tata Bhajan. As Rupa goes, that's why I mentioned Bhagavad Gita, you'll get fundamental knowledge. Nectar of
Mhm.
instruction, you'll get what to do, what not to do. Nectar devotion, you get to know all these details in greater extent.
Mhm.
Full details. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in Hindi. And then the other book is Srimad Bhagavatam. These four books are the ones we are supposed to read gradually. But Bhagavad Gita we have to start with. Not
Yes. Yes.
Ishopanishad also. But then gradually, when we are at least comfortable, we are able to understand the basics of what bhakti means, what we have to do every day, at least some small practices. Then you can pick up nectar devotion and start reading. Whether we understand or not understand, start reading slowly. Then, if you have questions, you can ask devotees. Then, but in nectar devotion, clearly great details are described of the spiritual nature of the soul and spiritual world and Krishna's qualities, different planets of the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, Golok,
Right.
Vrindavan,
Mhm.
and how our original nature will be revealed. Right now we are there. It is mentioned sadhakanam ayam premno prajur bhavet krama adav siddha tata sadhusanga tata bhajana kriya anabdha nivrutti syat tata nishta tata ruchi tata asakti tata bhava tata prema. Krishna Prema is the highest stage. That's when, no, that is the highest stage. But Adho Shraddha means faith. First is having a faith, coming to Krishna consciousness, either coming in touch with devotees, coming to temple, or got a Bhagavad Gita, whatever. Any of these is Adho Shraddha. Then Tata, so then you start associating with devotees. Then the Bhajana Kriya. Then you surrender to a spiritual master. That is the third step.
Mhm.
Mostly we are in the first and second. When you take initiation, surrender to a spiritual master, that is the third step. Then the third stage. Then the fourth stage is Ananda Nivrutti. When in Krishna Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse number 26 or 25 or 27, Esham Antagatam Papam. And Krishna says that there are different levels of sinful activities. If you clear the first level of sinful activity, then you come to Krishna consciousness. Until that point, you will not be inclined to, even if you somebody gives Bhagavad Gita, no, you will keep it in the home, but you will never come to temple. You will never, even if you are forced to come, but you will not want to follow anything because of simple activity. You will not want to follow. But when first level of clearance is done, then you want to follow. You want to read. You want to understand. You want to chant. All this. When
Yes.
the first level of simple activity is clear, then the second level of clearance, then you want to surrender to spiritual master. Until that, you are not ready yet. That
Mhm.
is second level. Then the third level is the one when after initiation there is another nivrutti. That is the third level of simple activity has to be removed. That is a longer process. To the degree we are serious, then the anartha nivrutti can happen in one lifetime. Generally, on average basis, 3 lifetimes minimum. Sri Bhakti
Mhm.
Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said, 3 lifetimes for those who are average serious. If they are
Mhm.
very serious, then one lifetime. But if they are general serious, then 3 lifetimes. Anartha Nivurti, then Nishta stage, then the Ruchi. then Asakti, Bhava, and Krishna Prema. The Asakti and Bhava, these are the stages. That's when actually our original Swarupa will be revealed. What form we have, what rasa, whether we are in Santaras or Dasiras or Sakiras or Vatsalaras or Madhuraras, with which personality, the Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayan, or Varaha, or Matsya, whatever, all those will be revealed when we come to that Asakti and Bhava. We may get a glimpse of that particular form of the Lord. We may communicate. Lord may give us a glimpse. We may see, or He may speak to us. We may hear for a fraction of moments. Then He may disappear, like Narada Muni. It happened. So, and then in the same life, or when the Brahma's lifetime is over, then next life we'll enter into the spiritual world in that particular rasa, particular form. So, until that point, it will not be revealed what is our original form, whether we are a tree or a bird or a male or a female or and what rasa we have, all those will be revealed. We shouldn't theoretically concoct that, oh, I'm a gopi, I'm a cowherd boy.
No, no.
Let
Yeah.
me start acting in that. No, we shouldn't try to do that. That's a imitation. That's not a practice or acharyas have recommended. So that
No, that
those
is
things are also
Sahijya. Those
happening.
are Sahijyas who do it.
Yeah,
Kripalu Maharaj, Sahijyas, they do that.
those things are also happening. In Vrindavan, if you see,
Right, right.
artificially thinking that I am a gopi, I
Artificial.
am this, I am
Yes.
that, sahaji, this is not the practice what is given by
No, no,
Prabhupada or his spiritual master.
no, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Prabhuji, for that elaboration. It's very complex, but I'll just try and keep it simple. Just Shravanam Kirtanam. That's
Yes,
what I'll
yes,
try and focus
yes,
slowly, step by step, Prabhuji.
exactly. Yep. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm here to always answer questions at any time. You can ask, no problem. So that is our job. Prabhupada has given so much mercy. We are here to progress together. We are here to discuss and understand what Krishna is trying to instruct all of us through Sri Prabhupada, through his pure devotees. Okay, we will conclude. If you don't